Here to discuss further, White House columnist for The Hill, Niall Stanage. And Niall, it's always a pleasure. Good to see you. So we have, in the wake of these protests now, the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. She's making the rounds on media, I should say, media outlets, refocusing on the intent of the Trump administration's efforts in Minnesota specifically to bring criminal illegal aliens to justice. Here's a clip of her from just this morning.
And that's exactly why we surged resources to Minnesota, because their corrupt elected officials at the city level and at the state level allowed fraud to happen, allowed crimes to happen. We've arrested dozens of murderers, rapists, traffickers in that city already, and we're going to continue to do that work to follow through on President Trump's promises.
I'm really interested in your take here now, because these fraud claims, they're pretty egregious. They have a direct impact on the tax-paying residents there. At the same time, you have big political leaders, the governor, the mayor of Minneapolis, some residents even piling on saying, hey, ICE, you're not welcome here. So how representative of the state do you believe that stance actually is?
I think that it is dangerous to conflate the two issues too much. So far as I can tell, the connection is minor compared to what we have seen over the past few days. And I think when it comes to the big protests we saw, particularly yesterday, it's important for those of us in the media to be quite clear what protesters were protesting about. An armed, masked agent of the government shooting a woman in the head and killing her. Now, some people will criticize the protesters for being out there. I think it's a good thing that people protest that. I mean, it is surely better for American democracy that people protest a government agent shooting someone in the head than to be docile or acquiescent to those kinds of actions. So in that sense, I think that it is completely understandable why these protests are taking place.
Well, I did want to dig into that, because you have so many Americans who are sad, they're angry when they look at this video, and it's for very different reasons. So how much does her case impact the public perception of ICE's mission? You know, does it change minds? Does it just polarize these two sides further? What is your take, Niall?
I think it changes some minds in the middle. Of course, you're right that we are a polarized country. Of course, there are people who are pro-ICE or anti-ICE by the very nature of that body. But when you see on video what we saw on Wednesday, I think that that has to put people off these kinds of actions. I mean, this is tearing at the fabric of the country when you have, as I say, an agent shooting a woman dead. That is obviously, I mean, a problem is much too mild a word for it. Now, yes, there are people who are defending it. Yes, the Vice President of the United States is out there defending it. But I think it gets to this issue of whether the Trump administration is doing, quote, too much, which was mentioned in a poll that I think I heard you reference earlier in the show, Kelly. So I think that's where the political salience lies.
Right. And is either side winning now, gaining any ground by weighing in before a conclusive investigation is done here? Because, you know, you do have on the right the vice president saying she was engaged, Renee Good, the woman who was shot and killed, in domestic terrorism. On the left, you have the mayor of Minneapolis saying, get the F out of our home, basically. So does anybody win by making those bold statements right now before we have a legal outcome here?
I think in relation to Mayor Fry, what he's trying to do to some degree is channel the very visceral outrage that clearly a lot of people in Minneapolis feel about what happened to Renee Good. Now, is the language profane? Well, obviously so. Do some people consider it indecorous? Obviously so. But then it has to be juxtaposed with the actual actions of the ICE agent himself. In relation to Vice President Vance using the term domestic terrorism, I don't know what to say about that. I've watched the video or all the different videos from different angles. What Renee Good did doesn't come close to any description of domestic terrorism in my mind. J.D. Vance is obviously entitled to his opinion.
Well, let's talk about the Pew Research Center poll that you had mentioned. So it was out recently. It showed that a majority of Americans believe the Trump administration is doing, quote unquote, too much to deport illegal aliens. And we have similar sentiments, disagreements with ICE tactics, very much split across party lines. There are many Americans who agree illegal immigrants should be deported, but it's the tactics. The devil's in the details, and that's where we see these big splits. So how does the administration balance this difficult mission of deportation, the real threats to ICE agents on the ground, and the concerns being shown here in these numbers?
Those are very fair questions, it seems to me, Kelly. And I think sometimes the American public writ large sees more of the nuances in this than is reflected in the political rhetoric. So immigration gets treated as just this one banner headline for everything. A vast number of Americans see a huge difference between the so-called dreamers, people who were brought to the United States as children and have lived, largely peaceable lives here, and someone who's guilty of murder or sexual assault who's here illegally. Those two things are obviously different. So it's how you prioritize the capture or apprehension of people who have done the gravest wrongs versus the kind of social disruption that can come when ICE goes door to door, for example, which clearly causes conflict in some of these communities.
All right, The Hill's Niall Stanage. Quite a bit to get to in this segment. Niall, as always, thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.